and again next week. So I'm going to read half today, and then I'll read the other half next week. Before we get started, the subway mouse is tired. About a mouse who is tired of life in a loud, dank subway. He sets out on a dangerous journey to a legendary place called Tunnel's End. Okay, so we are going to start out with checking out some words. So there are 3 words that I want you guys to really focus on this week. And the first one is going to be explore. So we are going to use our letters, and I will show you guys what that looks like. Hold on just a minute. Don't mind the little doggy. Explore. So Miss A is making the word explore on her board. And then I am going to show you guys some strategies on how to make these words. So on my board, I have made the word explore. And I am going to straighten them up here for you. Okay. So take a look here. Miss A has pulled out this word. This is the word X. So we know that the E and the X, pla, pla. P and L together make the sound pla. And then we have or, explore. Now the E on the end is silent, but we know that explore has the E on the end. It's a silent E, and it's explore. I want you guys to look at my reading strategies here. When I'm reading, I'm also looking at the pictures. If I'm stuck, I can use the pictures to try to figure out what the word is. Good readers start their lips the fish. Get your lips ready to say the word and at least make an attempt at the word. Even if you miss the word, at least try it. You can try stretching the word out. You can try breaking a word up like we did, skipping the word and coming back to it. So maybe if you read the rest of the sentence, the word might make sense. Flipping the vowel. So that would be, you could try to flip it around. I don't really love this one, but you guys can try it if you want to. Try and lion. So you got to keep trying. You guys can't just give up if you're like, oh, I don't know that word. That doesn't make any sense. So our first word is explore. And we know that the EX makes X, or. So see how Miss A broke that down because she knows the sounds of the words. The next word is going to be remind. So remind. So the word explore means to look around. And maybe to explore your surroundings might be looking at the sound, the smells around, walking in a different direction, something unknown, explore. And remind, we know this sound makes remind. Remind. This word, when I need to spell it, if I'm writing, I can sound it out. Also, if I'm reading this word, I can find words I already know. So and then I recognize this word, mind. So I could put those two together and remind. Remind, you guys know what remind means. You guys have to remind Miss A of all kinds of things in class. Remind. It means to remember something or to tell somebody not to forget. So sometimes you have to remind yourselves from 12 to 1 is our Zoom call. The next word is journey. So journey. So I know that this word, the start of the J, N, E, journey. If I was reading this, good readers would take the time to sound it out, and then you can group them together. Knee. So you could put these two together and then at least try it. sometimes when we come to these words, they're a little bit harder, but these are some strategies you guys can use to break words up. So journey is like a trip. Like I remember Tyrone telling us about his trip to Texas. Now these words should give you guys some clues about what our mouse might be getting ready to do. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna start to read to you guys part of the Subway Mouse. And we're gonna read the first half, and the next week we'll finish up the second half. The Subway Mouse. Also, while you guys are reading stories, you're gonna notice that Miss A's tone changes depending on who's reading. If I'm reading as a narrative or a narrator, I'm gonna stay really even tone because I'm not trying to identify with any characters. But when I identify with a character, you'll notice that my tones go up and down. I really want you guys to practice the importance of storytelling. Nib loves stories. Nib, our mouse, he loves stories, and I know you guys do too. So I want you guys to practice telling stories at home, and that can be reading a story that you feel passionately about with tones in your voice, kind of like when we do a play and I have you guys fill in certain parts and you read it just like the character would. Nib was a Subway Mouse, so we've identified our first character. We know that this is Nib. He was born into a large family that lived below the platform in a busy subway station. The mice called their home Sweet Fall. While the trains thudded overhead, the grown-up mice gathered food. When the trains rested, they came home to their nests. In the quiet, the old mice told stories about Tunnel's End. Notice how Miss A, when she mispronounced that, she went back and corrected herself. Good readers will correct themselves if they notice that they've made a mistake. A dangerous, ruthless world filled with mouse-eating monsters, but Tunnel's End was also beautiful. The air was sweet. A brave mouse could find the tastiest foods and the softest nests. Story time was Nib's favorite time of the day. When he grew big enough to hunt for food, Nib explored, winkety-wink, there's one of our words, the station floor. He found strange things, beautiful things, and things that reminded him of his favorite stories. He started to bring these things home. Your garbage is crowding our babies, the mother complained. Your babies are nibbling my stuff, Nib answered. Then he had an idea. He found an empty corner and built a snug hideout. Nib loved to come home, wash up, and fall asleep, surrounded by all his colorful treasures. He traveled to Tunnel's End in his dreams. One night, Nib came home to a mess. Nice place, said his cousin, Carmel. We fixed it up, added Ripper. Got anything to eat? Asked Pip. They stayed all night. Pip snored. The coming rumble of the morning train woke the cousins. They scratched, stretched, and scampered off. See you later, Nib, said Carmel. We'll bring Stinky and Crumbs tonight. I don't think that's gonna go over, guys, but let's see how Nib feels about it. A train pounded into the station in a cloud of dust. The brakes screamed. Another noisy day, thought Nib. Another noisy, dirty, dull, gray day. With a warning hiss, the train tore out of the station. Whoosh! A gust of wind snatched up the pieces of Nib's ruined nest. One tiny feather swirled and flew away down the tunnel and out of sight. Nib had another idea. Goodbye! He trotted past his cousins. You can have my nest. I'm going to Tunnel's End. You'll starve, said Pip. You'll be gobbled up, said Ripper. Carmel sniffed. Tunnel's End? That's just an old mouse tale. The next train drowned out their laughter. Nib counted 5 trains before he looked back. He'd never been this far from home. The tunnel stretched on. Nib curled into the crack to sleep. He woke up stiff and sore, jogging along. He tried to think not to think about food. Up ahead, the tunnel brightened. Nib started to run. Tunnel's end. That's where we're going to hold off today, guys. We will be picking up the Subway Mouse again next week with new vocabulary words. Remember, this week, while you guys are reading, I want you to try some of our strategies from class. Here they are again. And I also want you guys to try to use these words inside your conversations this week. And also when you're writing inside of our quill, I want you guys to try to incorporate these words: explore, remind, and journey. When you're having conversations in our Seesaw app, try to use the words, if you can, where they make sense. When you're having conversations with your parents, try to use the words explore, remind, and journey. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Welcome to a new week of learning. Happy week 4. I'm so excited that you guys are here. Also, don't forget we have Zoom calls from 12 to 1, and I can't wait to see you guys. I love you guys. Have a beautiful rest of the week. Do not forget to go to the Monday tab. Please click on the Monday tab and complete your assignments in order. I love you guys. Goodbye.